So how does wealth come to you? Do you know that it's out there? Do you know that if you sing with the universe, that wealth must come to you? When I was a little kid, my parents used to say, Lee, money doesn't grow on trees. My parents used to say, it doesn't just come out of thin air. So we asked the question, so where does money, where does riches come from? Here's the greatest answer in the world. It comes from unformed substance. That could mean that it came from the trees. It could mean that it came from thin air. Because you see, unformed substance is everywhere. There's no place that unformed substance doesn't exist. This is the whole idea behind the concept of quantum physics. That there is a world of infinite possibility where every possibility exists in every place all at the same time, and that everyone is experiencing that infinite possibility or the potential of experiencing it everywhere. So what happens then? If wealth and everything is everywhere present, always have been, always will be, and it's centered right where we are, what is it that has to be done? We have to collapse it. We have to focus on it so that we see it, and in the seeing it, with the believing in it, it collapses into physical expression, into physical form, into the experience, because that's what we're about. We are about the experience. This idea of collapsing is about holding a mental image until that mental image is so ingrained within us that it becomes an absolute belief, and in that absolute belief, we act in alignment with it and we experience it. This is the very premise of all of metaphysics. This is the premise of what Jesus taught. Jesus said it so clearly. It is done unto you as you believe. It is your belief that takes unformed substance, brings it, shapes it, forms it, and allows us to experience it. So riches come when we have an absolute mental image of what we want. So what is the formula? The formula, the first step is we must imagine. We must go beyond what our current circumstance is. And we must imagine out into the universe, beyond maybe anything that's ever been thought of before, and say, well, there's an infinite possibility, which means that that possibility has never been thought of. We don't have to wish for something that someone else has already had. We can claim and image something that has never been seen before. And when we can image it, we can form a mental idea of it, then we can commit to getting it. You see, there's this idea that came up in our class about this word commitment. So in order to have something, we make a commitment to something, which means that there is no turning back. It's when you take a contract on an automobile and you sign that contract for the automobile, you are committing that you will make the monthly payments until that note is paid. There's a commitment. There's no backing out. You have made that decision. Well, that's the same thing that we do when we form a mental image of something we want. The difference between creating and dreaming is that the dreaming does not have the commitment attached to it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it becomes, we're a daydream believer. No, see, you're just a daydreamer. If you were a daydream believer, you would be moving in the direction of that dream and you would begin the creative process. Do you see the difference? So we imagine, we go beyond where our circumstances are. We go beyond our experience. We go beyond what society is experiencing. We don't get caught up in all that's being said to us, and we reach out and say, okay, I see something greater there. I am going to commit to having that in my life. Once I've committed, I have to start building a belief that it's possible. You see, we realize that there's infinite possibility out there, but do you have a belief that who you are can have that? Is there even this much of a possibility within you that that can happen? And as we start building the belief, we're building the idea that that possibility does exist. So all of the mental imaging work, all of the visualization, all of our talking, everything is about taking that belief in the possibility and starting to expand it, expand it, expand it, expand it. But you see, that's not where the belief has to stop. Because when we believe and get to a belief that it is possible, now we have to come in and develop a belief that we are worthy. You see, you may be able to see the possibility out there. The people who take that possibility and make it a reality is when they believe that they are worthy of experiencing that which they seek. So the question is, are you worthy? And what gives you the right to be worthy? Did you ever think about that? Why should I have this? I don't have that education. I don't have this. I don't have any of that. That's because what happens with us is we adopt what society has said determines self-worth. The fact of the matter is, we are born worthy of anything, and to the degree that we can embody that we are the infinite expressing, we are the magnificence of all that is, and everything out there is already there for us to grasp. And so we are building a belief in the possibility of this aspect of life we desire to experience, and we are building the belief that we are worthy of it. So if we are looking to have a physical healing in our life, we have to build a belief that there is a possibility that I can be healed. And it's not what the doctor's prognosis is, because the doctor is coming from a limited perspective. There are many, many people that have healed of every possible disease out there. The doctors are simply telling us what is the statistical average. Are you hearing that? Because this is not just true with doctors. This is true in any aspect of life. People will say, well, this is the truth. No, that's just the statistical average. So if you can believe and you can build the idea that the possibility of health is here, and at the same time you're working on the belief that I am worthy of being healthy, and you keep building that belief and they come together like this, then you come into a pure centeredness of oneness. And in that centeredness of oneness, some people describe it as miracles. It's not a miracle. It's an actual demonstration that must happen anytime we go through this process. You see, the science of creation is not something that happens for one or happens for another. It happens for everyone when the rules are followed to the T. Because there is a law, and the law has principles that we must function within in order to have that law work. Most people can imagine something, can get to it. Here's the thing that stops most people is they never commit. They stop before they get the result. They don't feel they're worthy. They deny the possibility. They let other ideas come in. And when that happens, there's no possibility. So when we do that, we've imagined it, we've committed to it, we've developed a belief in possibility, we've developed a belief in that we are worthy. Now what we must do is we must focus on it. Everything in our being begins to focus on it. And there's two steps to that focus. One is that we have to implant a perfect, clear picture in our mind. What do I feel like? What does it look like? Who's with me? How does that fit into my life? How is that serving me? We create a picture where all of the colors, all of the answers, all of the ideas are so clear on this picture that we can literally taste it. We can feel it. We can see it. We can sense it. It embodies us. We're consumed with it because this image is so tantalizing that we are addicted to having that. Do you see that? Because isn't addiction a commitment to something? But this addiction is not one that we've allowed to come in to fill a void. This is an addiction that we've come in to say, we want to create this. And so we are using our God power, And it's our God-given power as the oneness of God, expressing individually to commit to such a form that nothing can get in our way. That is step one. Step two is the idea that we must live in a way that aligns with it. And when we live in that way, what I understand wealth to be, it's about being of service. Service doesn't just mean being in charity. It means taking the gifts that you have, the passions that you are, the qualities that you love to be in, and to give that into the universe. Give that to people, to places, to events. And you're giving your whole heart and soul. And what's happening as you give, there is a value to it. And with that value, the universe says, yes, you are valuable. What you are doing is valuable, and the universe brings a wealthy experience to you. So it doesn't mean that we have to shift and get to a new job. It doesn't mean we have to shift and do something different. We can be right where we're at, but we are giving more service than we are being paid for. Because we are giving it because it's the essence of who we are. So if we're a teacher, and we're in a public school system, and they say, this is what your job is, and you give that, are you giving your all, or are you just doing what's enough? When you're at that job, are you putting your heart and soul, and are you seeing the perfection of those children? Are you seeing the perfection of the teachers you work with? Are you seeing the perfection? Are you going beyond and helping them? Are you going beyond who they are to know for them, to feel the love that you have? You see, that's what service is. Service is not caring. It's not caring about, I've got to have this for that. It's about being in giving what you are, what your greatest talents are. And the universe cannot have a void. You see, every speaker out there talks about this idea. When you do what you love, and you love what you do, you will be the most wealthy human being that has ever walked the planet. The idea is we have to sit down and take the time and imagine, what does it mean for us to give, to be the service that lights our heart? Once we sit down and we uncover that, and the qualities of being in service can be applied in any aspect of life. The qualities that I know that are my way of being in service, I could use these qualities and be in the corporate world as well as in the world of service as a teacher in a spiritual center such as this. I can use these qualities as a parent. I can use these qualities as a neighbor. I can use these qualities when I'm in a mall shopping. You see, the qualities of being of service are not just about being in a job. It's not just about creating money in our lives. It's about who we are in the world. So it's not a switch that we have to turn on and off. It becomes living an authentic life. You see, when we are living an authentic life and we are serving humanity in our highest way, we are no longer subordinating ourselves to anyone else, to any other ideals other than ourselves. And you see, when we subordinate ourselves to anything, we are denying right there that we are worthy. Can I be more clear about that? If you hold someone else above where you are putting yourself in a position that they are above, which means you are subordinating yourself to them. When you subordinate yourself to someone, there is no way that you believe that you have the infinite wealth of the universe as a possibility, let alone know that you are worthy of it. The idea is no one is better than and no one is worse than anyone else. We are all equal. We are all the consciousness and oneness of spirit. We are all using that consciousness and oneness in unique and different ways because we were born unique and different, and we were meant to be unique and different, and it is our joy to be unique and different. Many people call me strange. And I say thank you. Because I am being my unique self. Being strange is not that you're weird. It means you're not living up to the values of someone else. If I wasn't being strange, I would be subordinating myself to others' values. And that is a sign when we become emotionally, mentally, and spiritually constipated. And with constipation, we'll have to take one of those pills. Maybe it's a God antacid. How's that? A spiritual antacid. It's a way that we unplug, and we unplug by accepting ourselves. So when you leave here today and you're driving home by yourself or with whoever you came with, ask your partner or ask yourself, what do you imagine how great your life could be? What is it that really causes you to feel? It causes you to want to be more, causes you to want to do more, causes you to want to give more. And then ask them, are you willing to commit to that? Are you willing to make that a life process? And then do you ask them, do you believe that that possibility really exists? And then you look at them and say, and I know you're worthy. And then you look at them and you do this because you're being of service. You say, how can I support you as you focus on this and you bring this form of wealth, this idea of prosperity into your life, not only uplifting your life, but uplifting the world? See, the question is not how I can be wealthy. The question is not how can I be rich. The question is not how can I get more of what they've got. Here's the question. How can I be of service? How can I be the perfect person I am and serve humanity in a greater way? How can I be a little bit more of me in service? When we can embody this idea and we can focus on the process, we will have come to a point where we can instantly create anything in our lives. For this is not just about money. This is about love. This is about relationships. This is about health. This is about every aspect that we can feel in human form. For when we are of service, we're for life, because life is always serving us. Do you see that? Life is always serving us. It's always giving us breath. There's always more food in life. And when we get into the flow of being life itself, we come, we take the divine, we take the human, we bring them into oneness, and we live in the state of the Christ. I'm looking at you, and I see who you are. And I see that you're perfect. And I see how wealthy you are. See yourselves through my eyes and look in the mirror and see the perfection of God as you.